Welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways, Coyote in the Highlands. Let's talk about how much people want you to care about things they don't actually care about on a level that matters, but they want to enforce it on you. And they use it to draw you into their stories, to their importances, to their what we call bullshit stories or whatever. And otherwise, you're a dick, right? You're like not a good person. So this came up from a friend of mine. He's posting about this and had a little conversation. And I want to talk about this, If you're not tricked into playing these games, these social games, these social importances, then what happens? What is your freedom level? What is it like if you're not stuck in that? So people try to force you into their importances and their stuff, and I think it's because a lot of people are missing out on attention, genuine human interaction attention. It doesn't have to be a lot there of conversation and making stories up. That's what people usually do, but it doesn't have to be that way. People are often missing on attention. People are often also missing on purpose or dramas or importances or stuff to share. And that often turns out to be extremely negative. I don't know why. It has to be so negative, but even the stuff that sounds happy is usually frantic, Everyone's had that friend who wants you to go shopping with them, go drinking with them, go do something with them, and it's going to be so much fun as long as you go with me. Go with me. It'll be fun if you go with me. With a smile on your face, right? But it sounds a little frantic after a while, especially if you have any resistance to any of this stuff. They're not able to just go enjoy the experience themselves. It's you being there, giving them attention that is what they want. But people don't talk about this very well. And there's a lot of enforcement. And a lot of that enforcement is of stuff that they don't even care about. They don't care about the shopping. Shopping is just programmed behavior. They care about getting you involved, roping you in. Somehow it causes a feeling of self-worth or life-worth to have you roped into that. And this gets really deep and emotional. Okay, your family will do this to you about things that you have to care about, things that you have to do, little bits of tribalism in there. You have to go. I have a relative who complained at one point that I missed a wedding of a relative, not a close, super close relative, someone I've met like 3 or 4 times had a wedding, but it was a family event, and it was wrong of me to go do my daughter's birthday instead of doing that. This was a special trip for one of my daughters, specific age, first time being able to go do a multi-day trip to the Phoenix Zoo and everything, and this was all planned out in advance. But there's this wedding, and then I have family members who it was very important to them that I go to the wedding for reasons that they can't even articulate. It has to do with the family, but it had to be me, not the kids, because this was an adult's affair. And I was supposed to abandon my own daughter on her birthday because some family importance. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any if you talk it out, of course this family member would never say, "Oh, I want you to abandon your daughter." But at the same time, that's not part of the reality. The reality in her head is, you need to go do this thing because I have placed a bunch of importance on it, so you have to do it. And is it really that important to her? No, not really. It's something that she's been programmed to think is important, that all of the male members of this generation have to gather together at these specific times for these specific events because that's what you do, So, what's going on there? What's going on is you need some freedom. You need to really Need. I'm using that word need, but in this case I really do mean it. I'm trying to not be super prescriptive, tell you what to do. I'm trying to give advice and hacks and suggestions and practices, and I'm going to talk that way. What you can do, what you can do, what you can do, what I do. But in this case, yes, what you need to do. I'm going to be a little specific about that because I think this is a really important space of personal freedom and spiritual growth. Need to do is get out of that enforced environment. Figure out a way to be honest. And this is a hard one. You're going to get a little bit of hermit going on here. You're going to get a little bit of clown going on here. You're going to get a little bit of random going on here. It's not going to be super, super easy. But this is one where you gain a lot of freedom if you deny other people their ability to put their importances in your life. If you want to go out, then great. If you don't, then great. Don't let that be an enforcement that other people put on you. And it's not fair or nice or right or humane for other people to put that importance on you. It should be free association, not mandated association. And there's a lot of people who are going to say, well, there's things that you have that are duties that you've agreed to. It's part of society, social contract, family contract, whatever. Well, no. If it's important to you and you have decided that you're going to do it and you are okay with it, you are fully okay with it. You don't have a bunch of, I have to do this. But you're just like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm cool. Great. If you're not fully involved, committed, freely associated, then it's not your contract now, is it? And this goes down different paths. Please understand that this doesn't have to be done in a mean fashion. But you do have to stand up for your boundaries in your space and say, this is not something I enjoy doing right now. Or this is not something I want to do right now. Or can we do something else? You want to spend time with me, that's great. But let's go for a hike. I don't want to go to the mall. Or let's go to the mall. I don't want to go for a hike. Look at these things. And I don't want you to dismiss the importances of the other person, but for a period of time, you need to make your importances more important for you than other people's importances. There has to be a balance because life has been spending a lot of time, many years, anywhere from a decade and a half, if you're watching this, to 6 decades, 7 decades, however long, having other people's importances impinge on your life, your freedom, your free will, your decisions, your growth, your very fundamental spiritual, mental, body, everything, life processes. People have put their importances on that, okay? Diet is a really good one. I don't eat a standard diet, but I eat in a way that is healthy for me and keeps me off of a pile of medications. There was a time when I took 9 medications. Thank you to the VA and the Gulf War. Woo! But I eat in a fashion that is extremely clean, and while it hasn't produced the other side effects that I want, like significant weight loss or whatever, it has gotten me off all of the medications. I don't have to take any medications to feel okay, to breathe, to stay out of the hospital. There was a time when I was in the hospital more than 12 times a year, like the ER. It was more than once a month, 14 times in 1 year. And that was the peak. It was 9 times the year before, and it was 10 times the year after, and 11 times the year after that. And then things started to get better because I figured some stuff out. At that point in time, I was baking bread, causing myself to go to the hospital. I can't do that. Living indoors, air conditioning, constant, the filters, the crap, the toxins, the molds, everything. I don't do very well living indoors all the time. You know, there's elements to that. There's a certain air exchange and stuff that needs to be there. So I don't eat a normal diet, but people get very, very enforcement minded on that, and it impacts them. They get upset if I don't eat what they want me to eat. I'm an adult. We're at a restaurant. I want to order the food that I'm going to eat. And people around me will try to force me to order other stuff. The wait staff sometimes will try to put stuff on my plate that I specifically didn't want. We went to a diner one time. I remember this was regular keto. This wasn't full carnivore or anything. It was just no starches, no potatoes, no breads. No potatoes, no breads. It was a very difficult process to get through this. We want omelets. No potato, no bread. No potato, no hash browns, no french fries. No mashed potatoes. You know, we had to go through the whole list of everything the restaurant could offer us. No fruit. I didn't want the packaged fruit anyway, and their fruit was just going to be stale cantaloupe anyhow. It didn't... Just, you know, no cottage cheese. They kept trying to push something else. So we finally get the plates out, and the waitress said that it looked too empty, so she put muffins with the omelets. Because it's not potatoes or toast. Yeah. Crazy, right? But people enforce this stuff on you. You know, I have family members I cannot eat a meal with in peace because they will try to enforce. It's, you know, and one family member, this is a very specific thing. This is a very good way of looking at it from a food point of view because it's an enforced behavior. He cannot have a meal without a cheat, without a sugar cheat. He's supposed to be off sugar or whatever, but so there's something, some chocolate milk or ice cream or something. He has to have it, but to assuage the guilt, make it okay, everyone with him has to have it also. And we have had actual raised voices about me refusing to have a spoonful of ice cream because I'm just like, I don't want it. I'm not having it. But it's important to him to make himself feel better, especially because he's very specifically fucking with medications and stuff when he has sugars, that other people do it. Because then he has a program right in his head that just a little bit is okay. Moderation's okay. I just have a little bit, but it's every single meal. Just a little bit every single meal, which doesn't add up to it just a little bit. So that's an enforcement issue. And this is crazy. It's everywhere you go. It's everything you do. It's hard to go to a bar and drink club soda and have a conversation and enjoy things in certain groups. Certain people. Some people just let you alone and they're fine, and then, you know, it gets to become the normal thing. You're the guy who doesn't drink. But some people just cannot let it go. It's important to them that you drink. And quite often, there'll be a psychological hook in there. They want to feel like they're not an alcoholic, or feel like they're not abusing alcohol, or feel like they're not drinking too much. So you have to drink with them. You know, you see this with mother-daughter relationships quite often. It's insane. Actually, I've seen this a lot in different ways with different groups of people, but mother-daughter relationships. The mother has certain sets of importances that are enforced on a daughter, a female child, even in adulthood, just because that's what the mom wants. You, specifically, you know, getting out of the details, getting back to the big picture, are you doing what you want? And I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't have duties or goals or aspirations with hard work and effort and all that fun stuff that we do as human games. But are you doing what you want? Are you doing your decision? Did you decide that you wanted to do this activity or do this thing or get into this drama, you know? Or is it somebody else's enforcement on you? You have to do this. You have to do this group thing. You have to do the social thing, or you're a dick. You know, and some people feel that this gets into antisocial territory or vaguely psychotic territory where you're not You're not willing to acknowledge that other people's stuff. But most of that other people's stuff isn't a real need. It's a need to control you, to help them feel less insecure. Quite often, insecurity is the key element to this. They need to feel life, value, security, identity. They want to strengthen a specific identity, or the identity wants to be strengthened itself, you know. There's no real awareness going on. It's not about genuine sharing between individuals. It's about an enforcement and making someone else feel better. You'll find that there are a lot of people. It gets back to taxes. You know, right now we're going through a cycle where the current American government regime is trying to push the idea that punitive taxation will make things better. If you pay the same tax rate that you used to pay, no reduction, everything's fine, but you make the evil people on the top pay more, then it'll mean that you're actually paying less. Even though you're paying the same, it'll still count as if you're paying less. It's like this weird enforcement thing. But it's punitive. People need to control or bring down or have an effect on others for them to feel good. You have to punish the rich to feel better about yourself. So, kind of interesting. And the arguments about that keep coming down to feeling better about yourself. But they need to do this for me, so that I feel good, so that I feel like my importances have been met. Other people. Bringing people down is a really big one. If you've ever quit smoking and you're around smokers, they are very unsupportive. Very, very unsupportive. They'll act supportive, but the biggest thing they want is to get you back on the wagon, the smoking wagon, so that they don't have to feel bad about it. Because having you stand there being an example makes them question things or have to deny things. You know, people have all sorts of justifications for addictions. You know, one of the big tobacco ones, of course, is, but it's a mind stimulant and it makes me think better and I need to smoke because it's performance enhancing. Baseline humanity is way more performance than anyone can handle. You don't need any drugs to help with that. That's fun. So that's it. Just notice that a lot of that is importances that people are placing on you for reasons of insecurity. And that gives you a hook. That gives you a little bit of a wedge in there to not comply, to keep your own importances, to do your own stuff your way without really taking them down, without being antagonistic or taking them down. You can give them genuine attention. You can be like, hey, let's just go for a walk. Let's spend a little time together. Let's go for a walk. 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk, just a little something. Spend some time, give some attention. Listen to one of their stories. Be like, yeah, I will totally hear about your day. I'm gonna need to stop at some point. I have very little patience for this in where I'm at. A lot of people have more patience. It's really much easier if you've not blown out of your mind and scattered across the universe. But listen to what they have to say, and ask them questions. You know, how does this make you feel? What is your feeling? What is your core? What is your awareness? That's the stuff you want to share. Not being forced to eat dessert because it runs into someone's programming on importances. Long video, very rambling. Sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have some stuff to think about, and I'll try to get into more detail about this concept as we go forward. Stay sideways.